Well, hello again, everybody. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by 101 CBD. Because when you're looking for premium raw CBD oil products, 101 CBD's got you covered. Now, all of their products, from tinctures to topicals, are loaded with that raw CBD, that CBDA. And each one of their tinctures, the Alleviate, the Chill, and the Boost, come in some great flavors, including their award-winning blueberry flavor. So go over to 101cbd.org, order yourself some raw CBD oil today, and don't forget to use coupon code IMGS25 to get 25% off of that order. And now I want to mention Green Co Digital Marketing. Because when you have a cannabis brand or a business, you know your digital presence is an important part of marketing today. And if you're doing it yourself, it's taking a lot of time away from you focusing on your business. That's why you need to talk to the professionals at Green Co Digital Marketing, because they can help optimize your website and your digital presence for the highest visibility. Go to greenco.website and see how they can help you build your brand. Okay, now let's start the show. Well, welcome back once again, brothers and sisters. This is the In My Grow Show, the podcast dedicated to taking the mystery out of cannabis. I'm your host, Alex. And again, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me. Because I've said it before, and I'll say it again, without you, there is no us. Oh yeah, you like that, huh? Nice and cheesy? Yeah, I know I've told you this before, but I'll say it again. Now, later on, I am going to play a conversation that I recorded with Mahala and Natalie, who got on the phone and help me understand EO water a little better, or electrolyzed oxidizing water. Yeah, there you go. But before we get to that and the rest of the show, I want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, if you are living in America today, you do need to change your clocks. You need to spring forward an hour. You see, folks, here in America, twice a year we change our clocks. In the springtime, we spring forward an hour, and in the fall, we fall back an hour. I don't know exactly why. I'd read on the internet that this basically started back in 1918. Something about helping us save electricity. I don't know how true that is, but that's just one of the things I've read on the internet. I've read a couple of other things on the internet about why it changes, but anyways, doesn't matter. If you're in America, change your clocks, and if you're not in America, yeah, check it out. That's just one of those things that we do here. And then the other thing I want to talk about is the coronavirus, man. This thing is freaking a whole bunch of people out. Seriously, it's a trip. I mean, my local Costco, they ran out of toilet paper and water. Now, I don't know if that's because of the coronavirus or not. Could be. If I really pay attention or, believe what's going on social media, yes, it's the coronavirus. But if it is, my question is this. I understand the water. I understand why, people first grab the water. I get that. We need the water to live. I understand that. But why is the toilet paper all gone? What are we thinking is happening with the toilet paper? I haven't heard anything. I mean, if you've heard what's happening with toilet paper, let me know if there's some kind of, emergency. But why are we all stocking up on toilet paper? Yeah, and I just wanted to pass along some observations that I made about the coronavirus, how some people are really panicked about it, real concerned about it. Me personally, am I concerned? Yes. Am I panicked? No, not yet. I mean, I don't see any reason to be panicked per se, but here's some advice that I'll give you. Wash your hands as often as you can and don't touch your face. There you go. Safety tips from Alex. Concerning the coronavirus. Okay. All right, now let's do the strain of the week. And today, I'm going to talk about the lava cake. And the packaging says that it is a 70-30 Indica dominant hybrid. And the internet says that it is a cross between the Thin Mint Girl Scout cookie and the Grape Pie. Now, this lava cake had a nice, really sweet, sugary kind of frosting scent to it and flavor. And I say frosting like sugary because to me, there are different sweet kind of, aromas and flavors. Like one is a fruity sweet bud, which I really like. But yeah, this lava cake really did have this, really, I don't know, almost like a cinnamon roll kind of smell to it. Now, this hybrid did come in at about a 20% THC, And since it is an indica, it was really relaxing. But I will tell you this, it is going to kill your drive. If you think you're going to smoke a bowl and then go do something productive, like with a lot of energy and passion, yeah, that's not going to happen with the lava cake, man. You know, you're just going to basically hit the bowl, smoke the joint, and then relax. That's it. That's all you're going to do, which is fine, which is good. You know, it's one of these really great flowers to unwind to at the end of the day, you know, let go of the stress from the day. For me, it really did help me with the tension in my shoulders, even though I got to tell you, you know what, last couple of weeks, my shoulders have been really tense. I really do think I need to go get a massage. But that has nothing to do with the strain of the week. Back on track, if you do see the lava cake out there in the wild, go ahead, pick some up and relax to it. It's really nice. Now I want to move on to my social media and mention something that is super, super local. If you are in the 805 out here in California, Elevate and Create will be having their first puff and paint on Saturday, April 5th. That is about a month away. Gives you some time to get it together. Let's see, the flyer says the guest artist will be Maria Zwart. There's going to be live music by Nick Noisy and Omega Nova. It also says here that Head Stash Social Club will be providing dank joints for the guests. Now, it is a $30 donation, but it sounds well worth it, folks. All of these things for $30, come on, and a good time. Now, if this sounds like something you want to be a part of, I need you to go over to Instagram, look up at Elevate and Create _ and reserve your spot. Now, let's move on to the report from the Cannabis Frontline. And today I'm going to read a couple of headlines that I've seen lately. The first one comes out of the Marijuana Moment, and it was written by Ben Adelin. And it's titled, "A New Justice Department Memo Aims to Block Habitual Marijuana Users from Buying Guns." That sounds of something very familiar to like what was going on with medical cannabis in California. Let's see, it says here, the Justice Department has issued an advisory requiring gun dealers in one state to conduct federal background checks on all unlicensed gun buyers because existing policies, the government argues, have enabled habitual marijuana users and others disqualified individuals to obtain firearms illegally. Though cannabis is legal for adult use under Michigan state law, it remains a restricted Schedule I drug under the Federal Controlled Substance Act. Consequently, consumers of marijuana have been forbidden from purchasing or possessing firearms. Okay, first of all, a couple of questions there. How are you going to enforce this really? This seems like one of those unenforceable laws that is just written to make more criminals and to just kind of threaten people with the law. I'm going to come get you. That sounds like bullshit to me. But let's read on. The change is largely administrative, as most gun buyers are already required to disclose whether or not they consume marijuana when they apply to purchase a gun. A question on the form for most would-be gun purchasers asks, are you an unlawful user of or addicted to marijuana or any depressant, stimulants, narcotic drugs, or other controlled substances? Lying on the form is a felony. I mean, that question sounds like a pretty gray area, first of all. Because that first part, are you an unlawful user, like at the moment? No. But maybe later after I get home and unpack my gun. I mean, I'm not saying you should get high and go use your gun. Absolutely not. You should never be impaired and using your firearms. I don't care if you're smoking grass or drinking a beer. Don't do it. It's not safe. With that aside, this sounds like a ridiculous kind of memo to be put out. Again, I think the government's doing it just as scare tactics. I remember when California only had medical cannabis. That was one of the rules, was that you could not be a medical cannabis patient and own a gun, which was ridiculous because, first of all, it stopped people from actually becoming a cannabis patient and it scared the piss out of people who were registered as medical patients because they thought like the government was going to use those records to come and take their guns from them. It's a stupid thing. I don't know what, again, it seems like a scare tactic to me. How do you prove it? And then why is marijuana singled out? I mean, if you're on, sleep aids where people have been known to wake up sleepwalking and do some crazy stuff. I mean, if you're on those kind of drugs, they don't tell you to turn in your guns. If you're on antipsychotics, do they ask you to turn in your guns if you're on antipsychotics? I'm not sure, but I don't think they do. I could be wrong, though. I don't know. Like I said, it just seems like one of those laws created as a scare tactic, and it's also one of those unenforceable laws. So there you go. If you live in Michigan, you got to give up your guns, guys, or your pot. But the government doesn't want you to have both. All right, let's move on. The next article I want to read comes from Normal. That is normal.org. Go over there, get a little bit of education, and then become a member. The title of the article is Clinical Trial Oral THC Administration Associated with Opioid Sparing Effects. This comes out of Lakewood, Colorado. Investigators affiliated with St. Anthony's Hospital and Medical Campus in Colorado assessed the off-label use of dronabinol, FDA-approved synthetic oral THC, on opioid consumption patterns in trauma patients with acute pain. 66 patients participated in the study. Half of the participants received dronabinol and the other half did not. Authors reported that patients administered oral THC experienced a 9-fold greater reduction in opioid consumption compared to controls. Those opioid-sparing effects were mostly pronounced among participants who had prior experience with cannabis. I wonder why. Was it that because maybe if you had used it in the past, you already had some kind of receptor pathway? That's interesting. Goes on to say they concluded the addition of dronabinol resulted in reduced opioid consumption, suggesting a beneficial opioid-sparing effect of dronabinol in acutely painful conditions. Because our study showed that the opioid-sparing effects of dronabinol may be greatest in patients who used marijuana, use of dronabinol adjunctively may benefit nearly half of Colorado's population. The study's findings are consistent with those in numerous other papers reported that patients typically mitigate their use of opioids following the initiation of cannabis and cannabinoid therapy. And I've talked about this before when other studies have come out that are very similar to this opioid-sparing effect that cannabis seems to have. And I just wanted to talk about it some more just to help us, move that conversation forward about not just the opioid crisis, but how cannabis can help in that fight. Now, the last headline I want to read comes out of Reuters, and it's titled, Increasing Number of Older Baby Boomers Are Using Marijuana. And this was written by Linda Carroll. It starts off, in 4 years, marijuana use grew by 75% among Americans ages 65 and older, according to new studies, and researchers expressed concerns over a lack of information on the potential health implications. The increase was most pronounced in women, those with higher incomes, and more education. The findings continue a trend seen over the last decade, said the study's lead author Benjamin Hahn. Consider that not even 10 years ago, 0.4% of adults 65 and older said they had used marijuana in the past year. Now it's 10 times that at 4%, Hahn said. The trend is concerning because of the lack of research on the effects of cannabis on older people. Some prescriptions, even over-the-counter medicines, such as Benadryl, affect older people differently, he said. So according to the new research coming out, baby boomers are really embracing cannabis. Apparently a lot of medical doctors are really worried because, they haven't really done the research on older Americans and cannabis. And also another thing you got to think about, older people are on a lot of different medications, a lot of different pharmaceuticals. We really don't know if and how cannabis may affect those. The best thing that I tell my loved ones when they ask me about cannabis and their medications is, first of all, I tell them to talk to their doctor and write down any questions you may have, so when you go visit your doctor, you have them all written down and you don't forget them. And the other thing I tell them is that to take their medication and their cannabis 2 hours apart. But once again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. That's why I said first talk to your doctor about this. But that's the advice that I give my loved ones about their medication and cannabis. Now, there are links to all of these articles in the show notes of this episode. And that, my friends, is the report from the Cannabis Frontline. Now, as I said earlier, I recorded a conversation that I had with Mahala and Natalie, and they are the owners of KangenForCannabis.com and KangenForHemp.com. And I invited them on the show to help me better understand what Kangen water is, or what electrolyzed oxidizing water is, and also what it isn't. I got to be really honest, before I started talking with them, I didn't really know a lot about EO water. And I had quite a few people here in the recent past ask me about it, and I basically told them that I don't use it. I don't really know much about it. I'm glad I got a hold of Mahala and Natalie, because they really helped me kind of, solidify my idea or what I think about Kangen, and, where it could be beneficial in my grow if I decide to actually get one of these Kangen machines. If you go over to either one of those websites, they have a couple of really good educational links. There's one with a doctor that really helped explain to me like how it's beneficial to our health to use, a Kangen water. But aside from that, there's also different articles about plant health and sterilization. And I learned that even though it's spelled with an A and it sounds like you want to say Kangen, it's pronounced Kangen. All right, hang tight, everybody. I'm going to play a little bit of music, and then I'm going to put on that conversation that I had with these ladies. Well, everybody, check it out. Today on the show with me, I invited Natalie and Mahala, who are the owners of Kangen for Cannabis. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Hey, how's it going? Mahala here.
And this is Natalie.
All right.
And it's actually, we've got it now. It's a Kangen for Cannabis and Kangen for hemp, because the hemp is now such a big issue
exploding.
As well.
Yeah,
I have
it's
added
everywhere.
that right into the website. So you can do kangenforcannabis.com with the number 4 or kangenforhemp.com.
Now, there's a lot of confusion about what Kangen water is. It's also known as electrolyzed oxidized water as well. Is that right?
Electrolyzed water, it's EW is the scientific term for it when you'll find it in papers, scientific papers and other publications.
And so what is electrolyzed water? What does it do? How do we get it?
So basically what that means is it's a process of electrolysis. The Kangen water machines, a lot of people mistake them for being filters, but they're not water filters. They're water ionizers. And so basically what that means is they shoot a high volt of electricity into the water as they run over these metal plates that are made from titanium, double dipped in medical grade platinum. They're solid metal plates. And so, like I said, as the water's running over the plates, it gets shot with a high volt of electricity. What that then does is it splits apart the water molecule, and you end up with 2 different waters coming out of the machine at the same time. You have an alkaline and an acidic water, or a basic and an acidic water always coming out at the same time. So, and then it does lots of different things, but that's essentially what electrolyzed reduced water is, or electrolyzed oxidized water, or however you want to say it.
So when it's coming out of the machine, it's 2 different pH waters?
That's correct. The machines actually produce 9 different pH waters, but depending on the setting that you select, you're always getting 2 waters coming out at the same time. The 2 waters are always going to equal 14. So for example, if you choose 9.0 to drink out of one hose, you're going to get a 5.0 coming out of the other side.
Oh, wow, what a trip. I did not know that. So there's a lot of information out there about electrolyzed water and Kangen water being used as sanitizing. I hear a lot of people also trying to use it on their plants, on their cannabis plants. They seem to get pretty good results because since it is, I guess, what's called a topical sanitizer, it's really not systemic. It's not going to really affect the plants that badly or at all. Is that right?
Yeah, and it doesn't affect you either. So hypochlorous acid is what's produced in the 2.5. It's called strong acidic water. And it does take a saline solution to make that, but that's it. And the Japanese have been using this machine, came from Japanese hospitals, and they've been using it for years for disinfection, for patient treatment. So it kills, 99.9% of bacteria, viruses, everything. But it's non-toxic to us to the extent you can, if you have a sore throat, you could gargle with it. You could clean a wound with it. So it's like, as opposed to using, say, bleach that's toxic to you, you can use this to kill everything, but it's also not toxic to you. So not only, using this in your home, for home and health use. But again, yes, using this on the plants.
Yeah, and the other thing is that the 2.5 doesn't leave a residue like a lot of other agents that you might want to put on your plants, and then it kills about 10 additional things that bleach won't even kill. So things like E. coli, MRSA, staph, HIV on contact, mold, mites, fungus gnats, thrips, aphids, all of those.
So now I want to take you back a little bit, just to be clear though. Hypochlorous acid isn't the same as just having acidic water, like a 2.5 water, right? You have to run it through that saline solution, through that salt water solution.
Well, it gets electrolyzed with the saline solution and splits it up to make
and
the hypochlorous acid.
Mm-hmm. And to answer your question further, you could take water and, turn it into 2.5 strong acid water, but unless you're using the salt solution and electricity, you're not going to make actual hypochlorous acid. And that's a different chemical compound than just a 2.5 strong acidic water, right? Like there are, Coca-Cola's around a 2.5 pH, but that's not going to do anything to help you sterilize anything.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to make that distinction. I don't want people to think, it's 2.5, a highly acidic water.
No,
it's not the same as hypochlorous acid.
The electrolysis, splits up the molecules, and that's what actually makes it.
And then it's true, because some people think, I can make that on my own, but unless you have a hypochlorous acid machine that makes that, and there are some machines, like in hospitals, they'll actually have machines that just produce hypochlorous acid, whereas the Kangen machine will produce hypochlorous acid plus drinking water, plus beauty water, plus the strong alkaline water as well.
So can either one of you explain just a little bit how we can use the electrolyzed water to fight, let's say powdery mildew?
So, for as far as powdery mildew and fungus is concerned, you need a pH above 8.3 pH. And then, if you want to do like a natural remedy, for example, you can use baking soda and like a dish detergent. Well, with the strong alkaline water, that's the 11.5 pH that comes out of the machine at the same time as the 2.5 is coming out. That water is so high alkaline, but what it does is it emulsifies with oil. So it's a degreaser. When it comes out of the machine, it actually feels silky.
Feels like soap. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, totally. And so you can use it just like you would a soap agent. It's gonna react the same exact way as a soap agent. And because it's so high alkaline, it just wipes out the powdery mildew. It works really, really well on powdery mildew, as a matter of fact.
So since it is kind of soapy, does that affect like the cuticle layer, like the waxy layer on my plant?
Good question. It doesn't leave a residue, because what's going to happen is you're going to spray it like a foliar spray onto your plants, onto the leaves and everything. And within minutes, it's going to evaporate. So it doesn't leave any soapy residue.
Okay.
Because it's not soap, it's water, but it acts like soap.
Okay. Yeah. Because I was wondering about that. Because when you said that, I was like, well, fuck, is that going to, kind of like the way if you overuse like, some neem oil or something, it's just going to wind up stripping some of it away.
Correct. And then, we're finding in neem oil, for example, we're finding out is systemic, which Kangen is not. Because again, after a few minutes, it evaporates and goes up into the air. And you can, completely spray your plants, your soil, the branches, the leaves, everything with both the 2.5 and the 11.5. And it's actually recommended to spray them alternating, going back between the two, because that helps to balance back the pH. And that's one of the reasons why, if you ask, well, is this going to harm my plants? No, it's not going to harm your plants in any way. What it's doing is preventing pathogens to grow with that extreme switching of pH.
Got you. Yeah, that makes sense. Just changing the rate. Now, do I need to allow any kind of do I need to spray with an 11.5 one day and then wait 3 days to spray with the 2.5?
So that's a great question. It all depends on your pest pressure. If you are just doing preventative measures, every 3 days is the protocol. You spray 2.5 today, wait 3 days, spray the 11.5. 3 more days, you go back and forth. However, if you're having an issue, depending again on your pest pressure, you may need to spray up to every single day. Some people do twice, every other day, or every day, 2.5 in the morning, 11.5 in the afternoon. And you can spray them both on the same day, especially if you're having a major issue. And then, one good thing to note is there are some pest issues that are so bad that the grower has allowed it to get so out of hand that even the most hardcore pesticide isn't going to work. You've got preventative measures is always the best.
Right. Yeah. There aren't really any miracles out there.
Correct.
If you let it go, like, I'll eventually spray it. Yeah. That's eventually it's going to get to the point there's nothing you can do.
Right. And you do need to, because it's not a hardcore chemical, you do need to spray consistently. You need to be consistent and spray, regularly throughout your entire growing season. And that's really what you should do if you have good IPM anyways.
On the issue of IPM, I know a lot of commercial facilities bring in clones just to, grow whatever strain they're going to grow. Now, if I bring in a clone, can I, get a bucket of EO water and do a drench? Can I dip that clone and then do a soil drench, and it's not going to really affect that small plant?
You can definitely dip the plant. I wouldn't leave it in there too long, but a quick, dunk it in, bring it back out, let it dry. No problem. And actually, I have seen a lot of cases where when you're doing the spray or like a clone dunk, the plants are a lot healthier because any little pathogens that are trying to attack the plant are now being killed, and the plants are just so much happier and healthier. And then they become more fortified as well. They're more, they end up being more nutrient dense. They're just more, think about it. When you have less germs on you as a human being, you're going to be stronger, healthier internally.
And speaking of dunks, Mahala, when you're saying something about when you're harvesting, and talk about that when you're harvesting.
Oh yeah, the 2.5. Yeah, so you can, a lot of growers, when they go to harvest, they will actually dip their plants in hydrogen peroxide to try to sterilize the plants and get the dirt and whatnot off of them. Well, you can actually do that with your buds. You can, clip the branch off with all your buds, dunk the whole bud in that 2.5 hypochlorous acid in like a big bucket of that, and then kind of, shake it out so it's not too wet. Hang it to dry, and now you're going to notice that when normally you may get mold growing or especially like on the leaves and whatnot and in the buds, you're not going to get any of that. It's going to prevent mold growth, and it's going to completely sterilize the buds, and they're going to be really pristine. They're going to be more pristine than anything you've done in the past because you're getting all the junk, all the dirt. And we had a couple years ago here in Oregon, we had a lot of fires one year, and there was a lot of ashes on a lot of the outdoor buds. And I had a grower do the dunk, and he was just like so amazed at how pristine his buds were. More than any other season he had grown outdoor before that.
So that brings an interesting question, because I know, especially in some places out here in California, some growers, outdoor growers tend to get a lot of bud rot towards the end of the season just because that moist air starts to move in and just settles.
Yeah.
Is that something that can be prevented with the EO water, with the Kangen water? Can we spray it down in a couple of days before harvest, or before that even starts, when we start to see that moist air just start to settle in?
That's a good question. So the 2.5 can absolutely prevent mold. However, obviously it can't prevent the weather, right? There are certain weather conditions that are going to affect the plants. However, the 2.5 is going to do a much better job at protecting those buds than if you hadn't. So I'm not going to sit here and say for sure, absolutely it's going to protect against all, outside environmentals, because we can't predict that. However, it think about it. If you don't do anything to the plant and you've got the moist air versus putting the sterilizer on the buds and the moist air, the sterilizer is going to help. Absolutely. How much it's going to help, that all depends on so many factors, right? It's not something we can predict.
Yeah, you can't make anything perfect, man. But I'm just wondering if it'll at least help a little bit, because I saw a lot of grows.
It'll absolutely help.
Yeah, it's a lot of grows at the end of the season. You're like, oh man, that looks painful. So let me ask something, because I'm an outdoor grower and I like to use my biological predators, and it sounds like that if I use the Kangen water, I'm either going to have to make a choice of either using the EO water or just sticking to my biological predators, because if I use them in conjunction, that electrolyzed water will wind up just killing my biologicals. Is that correct?
That's correct. I would definitely choose one or the other.
Right.
Now, you can use the Kangen water in conjunction with predator bugs, like ladybugs, things like that. You can absolutely use those together.
That won't affect like ladybugs, or do I have to wait a couple of weeks or a couple of days and then let go of my ladybugs and then not spray? I mean, how does that work? It won't affect ladybugs?
I mean, personally, I would spray your 2.5, let your ladybugs release your ladybugs, after. But then, even though the ladybugs are there, you can continue on your regular spraying regimen. The ladybugs are still going to do their job. The 2.5, I have not seen 2.5 kill ladybugs.
Oh, really?
I think their exoskeletons are too tough and they're too big of bugs.
Sure. Huh. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Man. Far out. Now, one question that I kept coming back to was, is electrolyzed water the same as ionized water?
Yeah, it's the same. It's just a different term for it. The ionized water is just more of a marketing term. And again, the electrolyzed water is the scientific term, so that's one that we prefer to use.
Okay. And another thing that people had questions about was storage-wise. Can I, make some, let's say, 2.5 water? How long can I keep it in a spray bottle before it, I don't know, does it rebind to each other?
It does. Keeping it in dark containers in a refrigerator will help it hold the state longer. So you can use it. And what is it, Mahala? 11.5 will last about a week.
Yeah, so 11.5 and 2.5 will last a week. You do want to keep them in opaque containers. The 11.5 and 2.5 you actually don't want to put in the fridge. The drinking water you do. It'll last longer in the fridge. But those two waters you just want to leave at room temperature, out of the sun and out of the heat. And not, with a sealed container so oxygen's not getting in.
Okay. Now,
and then after the week, it does return back into just normal water.
Okay.
And that's another reason it doesn't leave residue. It doesn't harm anything. Is it just turns back into water and it's all solution.
Okay. Now, what about, will it lose the electrical charge if I put it, if I store the container straight on the concrete floor? Do I have to put it on a wood pallet or a piece of wood?
That's not an issue.
No.
It's not a variable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not an issue at all.
Oh, good.
The electrical charge is affected by vibration, heat, light, and oxygen.
Oxygen. Okay. All right. All those things.
The more you agitate the water, it's going to come out. Mm-hmm. If oxygen can get to it, it's going to come out. The light's going to break it down.
Right. Or if it's in high heat. And the other thing is the electrical charge itself only lasts 24 hours on the counter, 48 hours in the fridge. It's the pH that lasts a week. But with the 2.5 and 11.5, the electrical charge is not what's doing the job of killing the mite, the mold, the mildew, things like that. The pH really and the chemical binding is actually the molecular binding. That's what's doing the job of pest management. When you're talking about now drinking the water or using the water on the plants to feed your plants the nutrients so that they uptake more nutrients and oxygen and have more bioavailability, that's where the electrical charge comes into play, because the water molecules are microclustered. They're separated out, and that allows for higher bioavailability. So your plants will grow bigger, stronger, healthier. You will yield more. And it will decrease your nutrient usage by about 30%, because when you mix your nutrients with this electrically charged water, you actually have to use less nutrients or you'll burn your plants.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's pretty cool to know. That's interesting. I thought, which makes sense because of the EC of a lot of nutrients.
Mm-hmm. And on that note, just as a side note, when you got one of these machines, you're using it on your plants, you're getting all that benefit. You're also getting the benefit of using this to clean your home and your grow room completely non-toxic. You're able to drink this water for your health. The drinking water has high amounts of molecular hydrogen in it. There's a whole molecular hydrogen institute doing studies on the health benefits of inhaling and ingesting molecular hydrogen. So there's so many other extras that you're getting for yourself on top of just using it for your grow. The 11.5, you can soak all your produce in it. It removes, all the dirt, all the pesticides, all the herbicides off of it. And
you can use it as laundry detergent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I'd like to add on the health tip too is, especially a lot of growers will have several, if not a lot, of employees that work on their farm, especially in high heat conditions sometimes. When you have Kangen water as an option for them to drink, the water is 600 times more hydrating than any other type of water. And also that molecular hydrogen Natalie was just talking about, when combined with the massive amounts of free electrons that are donated from the electricity, that turns your water into the most powerful and efficient antioxidant there is. So, for example, 2 cups of Kangen water is equal to 5 pounds of blueberries and antioxidants. So your employees and yourself, everyone's going to be healthier. You're going to have more work productivity and less sick days from people drinking Kangen water.
And the molecular hydrogen helps your body create more glutathione, which is your body's natural detoxification hormone. So that helps as well. I don't know if you notice here. So I don't know if I mentioned, I'm actually a chiropractor, a doctor of chiropractic. And so I'm kind of more up to date on all the health stuff, and Mahala's, in the grow scene. So she's kind of the pro there. And, we have all of the information on the website. So you can go to the website and look at the health section, and the Molecular Hydrogen Institute link is there, as well as a bunch of studies are listed and other uses for the water also.
So now I was over there on your website and Kangen for Cannabis, and the machines, they look like they're just regular tabletop machines. Is that the ones that, is that the only size they come in? Are there smaller? Are there bigger ones?
There are multiple sizes. So the one that you're going to want to get for the grow is the industrial machines, the Super 501, to handle the amount of water coming through it that you're going to need. You can get one just for your home. And the Super 501 is the best one for that. They have a travel one. There's one that goes under the sink. They have a platinum one if you want it to match all your, stainless steel stuff in your kitchen.
Okay.
Yeah, and just so you know, the sizes are all roughly the same. I mean, there are some that are a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, but they're all relatively, every single one of them you could put in one of those wheelie suitcases you would take on as hand luggage on your plane. All of them would fit in a small suitcase, for example. And so all of them you put on your counter. The Super 501 you can hook up to a hose. So if you want to have it outdoors, or you don't keep it outdoors, but if you want to use it outdoors or keep it in your greenhouse, and you can hook it up under the sink or right onto the counter. And it's very mobile. It's very portable. I've even had growers that are very close in proximity where they will get one machine and kind of share it, and they'll take it from one place to the other and use it. Everyone gets to use it on different days. So it's very portable. A lot of people ask how much water is produced out of these machines. It's 2 gallons a minute. So it's a very important factor, because a lot of people think, well, I have a big grow, and so your machine could never handle my size grow. Well, that's not true. Because you're not going to water with this water. For example, I worked last year on a 20-acre hemp farm, and so of course we need hundreds of gallons a minute coming out to water the field. However, you're not watering with this water. You're foliar spraying, or you're feeding, and you're filling up like a reservoir. So, within a day, you'll get roughly about 2,880 gallons a day coming out.
Is there any do I need to get my tap water, my water source tested before I use the Kangen machine? Or can I just add salt a saline solution to tap water and make the hydrochlorous acid?
No, you add the saline solution to the machine, and they have that available for you. You do want to not use well water. You would have to get that softened and filtered. The biggest issue would be hard water, calcium deposits building up on the metal plates in the machine and reducing the efficiency of the machine. And then you do need to send the machine in and get it cleaned on occasion, regular occasion, for that type of thing. And it's definitely best for drinking water to do a pre-filter, just so you're getting the highest quality water. But the biggest issue would be minerals, high mineral in the water, as far as using it for the grow.
Yeah,
Yeah, that, and if you are on well water, you just want to make sure you don't have any major contaminants. So if you're on well water, it's best to get it tested in a lab to know exactly what's in the water, so you can custom pre-filter. If you're not interested in going that route, you can always just get some good pre-filters that, take down the sediment and take down the calcium and excess minerals, so that, like Natalie said, it's not built up on the plates, making your machine work inefficiently. And then you really only send in the machine in about once a year. Typically, it's once a year for a deep clean for the company.
Yeah, and excuse me, I think that's an important thing to talk about, or at least to mention, is that the cleanliness of the machine is really going to affect how effective it is. Like either if the electrodes get too dirty or if the filters get clogged with some calcium sulfite, we need to recognize what these limiting factors are for some of these machines.
Well, and it does have a self-cleaning, there is a self-cleaning mode on the machine. So after you run the water, it does a clean for itself on a regular basis. But it's, just the once a year for the plates and the calcium buildup that you need to send it in for that situation.
Yeah, for the deep clean. And as long as you're doing that once a year, you're good. Your machine's not going to, function, it's always going to function optimally as long as you are sending it in once a year for the deep clean. And that's why it is important to do a pre-filtration, because the machine itself has a double carbon filter in it, but it only filters out chlorine and some heavy metals. So if it's all the excess minerals, it's not going to filter that out. So if you've got a good pre-filter, and another benefit of having a good pre-filter is the filter in the machine, you will never have to replace as long as you're pre-filtering. And then if you're on tap water, city water, you just want to make sure you don't have anything like arsenic or fluoride or anything major like that in your water. And like I'm here in Southern Oregon where we have pretty good tap water, and so I don't pre-filter my water personally.
Yeah, that's a pre-filter is just going to make that onboard filter work less hard. It's just going to take some of that stress off of it. Well, ladies, you know what? I want to thank you for getting on the phone with me and answering a lot of these questions, because there is a lot of, misinformation or a lot of confusion out there about Kangen water and electrolyzed water for sure. Is there anything particular that maybe we didn't talk about that you guys wanted to mention?
Yeah, I'd like to add that, in Japan, the Japanese have actually been doing this in their agriculture for decades. So anyone who's really interested in science and doing a lot of research, go to YouTube, go to Google, of course, there's a lot of things on PubMed. And Natalie mentioned the Molecular Hydrogen Institute. You can look there too. But if you want to look at how people have been how the Japanese have been using this water on their plants for years, there's some really great videos on YouTube, some like mini documentaries of some different projects that they've done. They did a rice field project. Of course, they haven't used it on cannabis or hemp, but plants are plants. They're using it on all their golf courses, for example. Instead of pesticides, they're saving hundreds of tons of pesticides every year that they're not using anymore, and they're just using Kangen water. And they'll show you in their greenhouses, their employees used to have to wear full hazmat suits to spray their plants in their vegetables in their greenhouses. Well, now they can be in a tank top and spray the Kangen water all over themselves, and it's not going to harm them. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely,
and there's
the best choice.
There's some links to this in the website, and videos about some of this in the video vault on the website as well.
Speaking of which, could you tell everybody where to find both of you and Kangen for Cannabis?
And I'm Natalie again, and my website is Kangen, the number 4, so Kangen4Cannabis.com or Kangen4Hemp.com. And on Facebook, I'm the Supreme Water Experience. And also on Instagram, the Supreme Water. The Supreme Water Experience on Instagram as well.
Yep. And then I am Mahala, and I just want to spell out Kangen real quick because a lot of people get confused with that. It's K-A-N as in Nancy, G-E-N as in Nancy. So it sounds like Kangen, but it's Kangen. It actually means bring back to origin in Japanese. And you can find me on Facebook under Mahala Gordon or Mahala Wealthy. Also, if you ever want to check out my website, it's kangenqueens.com. Both of our websites are great for doing research and learning more about how you can use the water on the plants.
And actually, I just want to correct myself on my Instagram. It's Can Your Water Do This? So at Can Your Water Do This?
All right. Well, again, thank you very much for taking the time. Do me one favor. Don't hang up. Okay. Everybody else, I'm going to play a little bit of music and I'm going to be right back. So there you have it, everybody. I hope that conversation helped you understand EO water a little better. And if you want more information about how Kangen water can help your cannabis grow, go over to kangenforcannabis.com and kangenforhemp.com. And don't forget, if you have a question or a comment about this episode, you can send an email to inmygrow@gmail.com, or you can find us on social media at the Cannabis app and on Instagram at InMyGrowShow. Well, mis amigos, that's it. That's all I have to share with you today. Now, don't forget, if this episode has educated you, entertained you, and given you a little escape from your day, help support the show financially. Go over to patreon.com/inmygrow and leave a financial donation. Now, you can also go to inmygrow.com, click on the support the show tab, and you can buy a t-shirt. Another way you can support the show financially is you can click on the Amazon link at the top of the show notes of this episode before you go shopping at Amazon, because that just lets them know that we sent you and the show gets a commission. And those funds just make it easier for me to put the show together and keep it going. You know, it helps me pay for different hosting fees and for equipment. Now, if you can't support the show financially, don't worry about it. I get it. Here's how you can help. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. Go over to inmygrow.com, subscribe to the website, and then go over to YouTube and search for In My Grow Show with Alex and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Then after you do all that subscribing, just tell 3 other people about the show. Really simple. Once again, thank you for listening. You know I love you all very much. And remember to always grow, learn, and teach.
yo, 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 yo.